folks. Thank you. One of the biggest things in the headlines today is Galamsey. And I'm saying this because the gentleman that I'm going to be talking with, he actually started this whole drive about saving our environment, saving our water. And he was the first person, and that's the first time in my life I've seen a media coalition and all the media came together to focus on one fight, and it was amazing. Outside of that, he was one time my boss, 2 times my boss. So when I went to work for multimedia, once upon a time I was the morning show host for the Super Morning Show, man. Ache Munkai. Then he was my boss. And when I went to Metro 2, I set up Metro, and then he came there too, and he became my boss. So maybe I'm my boss. Put your hands together. Show some love for Mr. Ken Ashigbey. Hey, boss. Hey. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much.
Time.
I remember those days in Joy FM. It was great when Kamala went to Harvard.
Kamala stepped, yes.
Exactly, yes.
And I came to sit in there. It was
very
some tough shoes to fill, but hey.
Was interesting.
But you were cool, man. You kept encouraging me.
Well, you did it. We really needed to do it. And we brought in, a combination of the hard talk, the humor, and all of that. It was great. It was some interesting times back then.
Interesting times, man.
Yes.
The brother.
Yes, the brother.
Well, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. I've waited for this, and finally it's happened.
Finally it's happening,
yes, man. Not only just producing it whilst then at Metro, but now sitting in the seat,
Well, it's good to have you here, as I said. But there's so much to talk about. So much.
With you.
And folks, I've had a chance to be with him on the same platform when we are talking to the youth. Man, you really have inspiring ideas for the youth.
KSM, if we don't look at who are going to be running the show in future, then if we're not too careful, in our old age, we'll be in big trouble. And so I am very passionate. I think it's one of the callings I have, to be able to inspire the next generation to be better than we have been. We have to say that our fathers have failed and we are beginning to fail as well. So we need to ensure that we stop the rot and make sure that the youth who are coming can become world-class leaders.
Yeah. Are we succeeding?
KSM was succeeding in some ways we're losing. Jesuman is just being in the news for really some wrong reason. But you're beginning to see some young Ghanaians also really ride the storm and all of that. So for me, I think we need to push the things that we do. Watching your show, if you look at some of the young people who come here and some of the things they do, their fathers have not done that. So that should encourage us, but there's still a lot more that we need to do.
And you're right, and it's interesting you mentioned the show, because when I do the show, it gives me hope that at least we have pockets of excellence, dotted across the place, and every now and then you meet them and they're doing amazing things.
Well, there are definitely a lot of young people who are really breaking the mold, but definitely their times are difficult times. In as much as they have opportunities, they're difficult times, because now the young child who's growing up from Chame is competing with a child who's coming out of China, who can build a 1,000-bed hospital in 10 days. So they need to build that mindset to say, we're not competing just for ourselves. And we're not just looking at our immediate neighbors and saying, these are the people we're competing with. How can we be world class? How can we compete with Silicon Valley that has a lot of research, that has a lot of money, really dominating it? And for a young person coming out with an app, that could be daunting. So how do we inspire them to get beyond that and really be able to do more than they're doing now? And people like you are doing a great job being able to bring, and the interesting thing is that some of the talent you see on your show would not have been heard before then, and the way your production team and yourself need to be given some really big times up for being able to unleash these talents.
No, I agree with you. It's a very solid production team, and they go out there and they hunt them, and
a lot of thinking.
A lot of thinking, because you see these amazing young ones, and then on the other side of the spectrum, you see some that are totally clueless.
Will kill you. And if you're not too careful, you would throw the baby out to the bathwater.
Yeah.
But I am a perpetual optimist that really we can do it. We shouldn't allow the negative people to put us down and say, no, it can't be done. It really can be done.
Yeah.
The only thing is that it would take a lot of doing things differently, pushing the mold to be able to do the things that we ought to do.
I try to keep hope alive, man. And trust me, I try. Until recently, I had one of my tapes. You know, back in the day, I was on Vibe FM doing talk shop.
Yes, talk shop.
Very hard-hitting. Yes.
You know, we don't care whose ass is God. You know,
tell the truth and let the chips fall
where they may. You know.
So I was listening to a recording that I think I did 25 years ago. And Ken, it was the same issue.
Yes, it is the same issues. You know, and I listened to your brother do the same thing.
My son, actually.
Yeah, your son.
My eldest brother's son.
So I look at the announcer call and say that you're doing the same thing your uncle has been doing, you know. And then, you know, the interesting thing, I took the graphic 50th anniversary book, which had chronological recordings of what had been reported in the graphic 50 years ago.
50 years.
Floods are still in there. The things that we're reporting today, you know, cheating in exams, you know, corruption by politicians, they are all in there. But it looks as if this time we're even doing it a lot more brazen. And so really, there are a lot of things that really have not changed. And we really need to still keep pushing and doing things a bit differently to get the change we desire.
You're right. It's got to keep pushing. And you can't give up. You know.
We can't.
I get close to giving up sometimes.
No, KSM, you cannot. Because that's what those who want to keep us down want you to do. They want you to focus just on the negativity and give up. But we need to focus on the positivity and say that the glass is half full. Really, if we push it, we could fill the air up there.
And you have to constantly remind yourself.
Constantly do.
And for me, like you said earlier, you know, the kind of kids that come here, not kids, but the young brains, gives me hope that, wow, if we can mobilize their energies, it will be amazing.
And you know, KSM, one of the things I say is that in any chemical reaction, the catalyst is small, just few. The reagents are plenty. So we just need a few good men and women and young people to be able to transform our country, Ghana. We can do it. We really can do it. We never should give up. Labor, that's what my school motto says, perseverance conquers all.
Talking about your school, that's Augustine?
St. Augustine's College.
St. Augustine's,
Yes.
And take a clip of this man, see how he talks so vibrantly. No, cadet corps. I'm surprised he didn't end up with me. Look at him as a cadet guy, man. Take a look at this. Just some love, man.
We love it. We love the cadets. You know,
how does it end up in the army? I'm talking so.
The interesting thing was my mom, you know, when I finished A-level, I applied, got enlisted, and I was called and I was told that, you know, this thing you want to do, go to the university first. When I finished university, I was told if you even apply, you know, it ain't going to happen. You know, so I look at some of my colleagues who were in the cadets with who are now colonels, and I look back at them and say, you people, then you didn't even know how to march, but now they are big men, you know. Exactly, but it helped. I would push to say if we could get, you know, military training for all of us to get the discipline that we really require, so that the things that we see around, you know, we can cover.
So you think maybe like national some
service, national service,
6 months,
one year, you know, exactly in the military, get that training and prepare all of us, you know, to be able to say that this is right, this is wrong. Time is this particular time. You know, this is what we ought to do. Just to give us that discipline, I think it's really, really important. And also the confidence that comes with, you know, the military is also important. An officer is an officer.
Another very glaring example is when you are going to the cemetery and you see the military cemetery and you see the regular.
Yes,
and
just look at that.
Difference.
Even in death, they are more disciplined than we are.
You know, difference in death.
I'm telling you,
it's manicured.
Exactly.
It's beautiful.
Exactly, and it doesn't take too much to be able to do that. So why don't we do that? One of the pains I have is flying into Accra. When you're flying into Accra, you see the disorganization in the way we build our houses, even in our farms. And go to any of our cemeteries, it tells us our state of mind. And it doesn't take too much to decide that, you know, let's all be in line. And it's really important. The military have shown it all this while. Why can't we do that? Really, it's painful.
Do you think we have got the script wrong when it comes to the democracy we are practicing? Because I've seen times where certain things, I heard in the Ashanti region, now, I think it was the police or MTU has decided they're going to check licenses to make sure that everybody who is driving is qualified to and all of that. And people are upset.
No, I definitely think...
why are you going to do that? You're going to make the government unpopular. And so, why are you going to make people disciplined and make the government unpopular?
No, definitely.
Is this, do we have it wrong?
I think the way we're practicing democracy, and it's a borrowed thing. We've borrowed something from some people who have done it, who have lived their life in a different way. I think that's... And we call it commitment, that's it's not rule of law for us. You know, all we think is you should say it, I should also say it. And I'm not too sure that after, you know, that this our kind of democracy, what we do is just go and vote and 4 years go and sleep and allow party manifestos to be the thing that decide the day is the way we should go. I think it's about time that we need to look into ourselves to say, as people, as Ghanaians, different as we are, what are the best ways of being able to govern ourselves? And you see, if we go back and look into our history, as a people, we've had ways in which we govern ourselves. If this has not been it, and we really need to look at it, because now what a politician tends to do, and we also who vote, is that all we are thinking about is the next 4 years. And you need, even in business, there's really no strategy you can craft in 4 years.
4 years,
I'm one of the believers that we should scrap manifestos and rather have a national plan that is really national, and then you as a party will judge you by how far you will take us. So we decide that this is the way we want to go. This is the Ghanaian dream. And we'll ask the various political parties, how far can you take us? I think that would be a better way of doing it.
So we actually structure one national development dream.
Exactly.
And all parties are supposed to commit to that.
Exactly. So we're going to go to chairman. And so when we come, how fast and how far can you take us on that particular road? And this dream has to be done with everybody involved. Fortunately for us, we have technology now. And so we can get everybody contributing to that so that we all agree that this is what we ought to do. We don't want this situation where 1 year we come, one political party says 3 years SHS, another say 4 years, you know, and we reverse it. You know, it's not taking us to where we ought to go.
Exactly.
A change of the way, the fact that we're a peaceful country, stable country, it's all good, but there's some ingredients that's off. The fact that, you know, the trimaquare, it's too much. It's about time we really changed it and decided that this is where we're going to go and consistently go at it. It's the only way you find that a laser is able to cut, because they are consistent at it. Now, if we keep on going and coming back, coming back, really, I'm not too sure we'll be able to get where we are. And we are different people. And so that's why I look at it again. And China has been able to do it because they've stayed with their own. Japan has been able to do it because they stayed with their own. I remember going for some program in Japan, and the professor who taught us, they took us to some cultural setting, and we went to a place that had their shrine, the Shinto shrines. You see, this is no different from Chiame. When you go to my village, you see a lot of these, you know, gods around. And the man who was teaching us leadership, he went there, he went to bow, do all his things. If it was in Ghana, they'll say, you know, you're backward. So this whole tabula rasa thing, so the Japanese have developed within their Japanese context. But how is it that we in Ghana think that we want to develop within some borrowed context? It is the reason why, for me, Monday to Thursdays, I dress like this as a Ghanaian. And then on Friday, I want to tell them that I still can also dress the way the foreigner dress. So I dress down by wearing a suit.
On Fridays?
Yes, on Fridays. That's what I do. But I won't do that Monday to Thursday. When I'm dressing down, then that's where I wear my clothes. No, I won't do that. I think we need to start taking our context a bit more seriously and say, what are the things, what are the nuances, and we've done some bad things in the past, so we shouldn't continue that. But there's some positive things we've also done that we really need to hold up onto, like our social setting, the way that you know, when I mentioned Nana Ansakwa, he said he's my son. He didn't say he's my nephew. You know what I mean? That's how it used to be. But now we're losing all of it. And you find out that we also wanted to now take our fathers and mothers and put them in homes. That's not who we are.
But it's getting there.
No, already it's getting there. It's getting really, really scary. Where you have people, you are beginning to see what we saw in places like London and things, where people die in their homes. You're beginning to see people die in our homes right here. And really, it's scary. If you go back into my village like that, everybody's left. So there's nobody even back home taking care of the old ones. And now we're beginning to now say, let's look out for those things. So we need to realize that there's some things about us that makes us strong. There's some things about us that are positive. But who is looking at that? Our academicians, are they looking at that and saying, what, you know, that this thing we did in the past was strong, so how can we adapt it to today's settings, but some of that we're losing that, and it's important that we can go back again into it and say this is positive, let's do that. Definitely there's some negative ones that we need to throw away.
My uncle, may he rest in peace, one Professor K. Chumberman, he was one time a vice chancellor for University of Science and Technology. He wrote a book. I'm still looking for that book. And anybody out there, if you have that book, I'll pay you any money you ask for. It's called Education for Development. And it's so good. I read it when I was in, I think, my freshman year, way back then. You know, and I was talking about how education is only relevant if it trains you to work within the environment that you grew up in. But it seems our whole educational system trains us, but alienates us from what we need to be doing.
Completely, because, you know, we're forgetting that our educational system, you know, was formed by, you know, the colonial masters to be able to produce the right people for them.
For them.
For them, you know, to be able to exploit us.
Yes.
And now we've developed on the same basis. And so when we educate our people, we take them out of what, you know, of what it is that we're doing. And that's why for me as an engineer, I am pained when we decide that, you know, we want to turn our polytechnics now into some technical universities, and all we're doing is a lot more of these grammar, and leaving the hard things. Currently, one of the major challenges you're finding is that when you want a proper artisan, you find out that people are now going beyond our borders to go and bring people. And that's a major national security threat, because the time are going to come where our people who are on the streets selling, or the people that you bring in to do work for you, and they can't even get a line straight. They fix light, electricians. That's what I used to do. You see electrician fix, go back into old churches, and you see then we're wiring, it was surface wiring, and you see the cables run straight. Today, when he does it and you complain, say, but it works. You know what I mean? They don't see that. And that's really, really a major problem.
And the point you made about people going outside, it's like now they said there's something called, I don't remember the kind of ceiling.
POP.
POP.
Yes,
Cote
tiling. That's what it is. You know, I'm telling you, even the masonry now, you know, and so really it's a major problem. And it's all our people want to do is quick money, and we need to let them realize that sustainability is important. And you see, our whole, if you go into the French system, apprenticeship was a big thing. Now the young boys, young women, young men, they don't want that. They don't want to go through that process, you know, because he can go out there and go and sell something tomorrow and be able to, but that is not sustainable. How long can you do that?
How can we get them to start thinking like this? Because somebody said, what's the expression? The train has left the station. That whole idea, it's like that's now gone.
So KSM,
can we ever?
We should. So what me and you do when we get and engage the young ones and we empower them and we keep on speaking to them. You see, sometimes we think it's not making a difference, but it is. And the only thing we need to do is to be able to gather a good mass, a critical mass of people to start this. It has to be a movement. And we need to also speak to our academicians, we need to speak to our policymakers to say that we need to start looking at ourselves to say, how do we make it better? Because sometimes our leaders tend to forget what it is that we get them into leadership, and it's as if all it is about is the next 4 years.
I remember, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, that's it. I remember when the election petition happened and the case went to court. I remember very vividly that the time the NDC won it, they had won this case in court. They were talking about the next 4 years. The MPP also had conceded, but they're also talking about the next 4 years. Where is governance? Where is the the period to be able to govern? That's why maybe even this 4 years thing, we need to really
look at it.
At it.
That's true. Very, very true.
We need
very, very true. Because we spend all the time campaigning for our parties. That's great. So we spend all the time campaigning. That's one phase. The next phase is do the election, you know, and hopefully you think that once we have done the election we can now go and start building. But no, after the election, we start the campaign again for the next
election. You know, and everything is focused on just the next
4 years.
And that has to change.
Oh,
that
man.
has to change.
Well, I'm hanging out with Kenneth. We're showing some love, man. And you are one of the few nationalists, patriots that are still, they still have the fire, man.
No, but KSM, for me, there's no other place to go.
Yeah.
I don't think God made a mistake making me a Ghanaian. So
he knew what he was doing.
Exactly, and I think I have a role to play to make this a better place than I found it. And one of the things I've come to believe is that those who want to oppress us only show us the negative side of things. So if you're not too careful, you look back at it and say, oh, this is too daunting, I can't do anything. But I think for all of us, we need to start focusing on the change we can make. We all know what the problems are, it's so coming to just tell us complain, and that's what the middle class do. We just complain, but we don't want to put our skin in the game. We all need to put our skin in the game, let our lives show what it is that can be done on a positive basis, be able to stand up for what is right. When it's wrong, you should be able to say it. When it's right, you should be able to say it. And we need to realize the fact that Ghana is older than this NDC MPP thing. We are bigger than that. And if we just ride the NDC MPP storm, just before I came, one of your producers was showing me, two couples who were marrying, one NDC and one MPP person married. They do all of this. So young men, my brothers and sisters, we shouldn't go spilling any blood just to elect anybody. We're going to give somebody a job in the next 4 years. In this year, we shouldn't lose a drop of blood because they do things together. They are even getting married. We have a typical example if you go to the chief of staff, the deputy chief of staff. One of them is currently in power, the other one was a former. So that's what it ought to be. Politics is just about trading ideas. Who has the best idea, to be able to rule and govern our country. And it should not be life and death. And that's why, for me, I also was of the view that voting for DCs was a better alternative than not doing it at all. I thought that what it would have done is that it would have ensured that no matter who is in government, because others would also have had different pockets of government. They will all not come and say, once I'm in power, then it's the other people, we should rubbish them. And when we're also in opposition, everything they also do, everybody's skin would have been in it. So we really need to go back again and look at how do we do that in such a way that, even at the local level, we can hold people accountable. Because currently we don't hold them accountable because they are accountable only to the person who appoints them, who is the president.
Show him some love, man. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Ghana and get more into his personal stuff. Now we are talking about Ghana. You can get it personal. We'll be right back.
The KSM Show.